Okay, so this is a tutorial on the muscles of the larynx. So when you're thinking of the muscles of the larynx, it's useful to think in terms of the functions of the larynx and also to think of the different compartments of the larynx. So in terms of the compartments of the larynx, which I went over in the last tutorial, think about the laryngeal inlet and then think about the three chambers. So you've got the vestibule, the middle chamber and the infraglottic compartment. So think about how these can close and open in relation to the function of the larynx to aid respiration and to produce voice and phonation. So for instance, if you want to protect the respiratory tract, you're going to want to stop stuff coming into the airways, into the trachea below. So you're going to want to narrow the vestibule. You'll want to constrict and oppose these two mucosal surfaces, and you'll want to bring the rimma vestibuli together. So remember, the rimma vestibuli is the space between the vestibular folds on either side, and the rimma glottidis is the distance between the two vocal folds. So you'll want to narrow the rimma glottidis and the rimma vestibuli, and you'll want to close off the laryngeal inlet by bringing the epiglottis forward and closing the laryngeal inlet. So all these actions to close the various compartments and folds will prevent things coming into the trachea. And in terms of phonation, if you imagine the lungs blowing out air, so if you imagine air coming out towards you, towards the screen, so it would come out through the trachea and blow past the vocal folds, and it would produce noise. So the air rushing past the vocal folds produces a frequency of vibration in these vocal folds, and this frequency of vibration produces noise. So this is just similar to a musical instrument. So if you pluck a guitar string, it oscillates at a certain frequency, and that produces noise. So if you think about adjusting the tension of a guitar string, that's going to change the pitch of the sound produced. So if you have a loose guitar string, it will produce a very low sound, and if you stretch the guitar string so it's tight, it will produce a very high sound. So when we talk about the muscles of the larynx, think how these can affect the tension on the vocal ligament and vocal folds, which would thereby produce a change in the pitch of the sound produced if air blows past it. So think about how the laryngeal inlet can be opened or closed, how the vestibule can be narrowed, how the middle chamber can be narrowed, and how the vestibular folds and vocal folds can be brought together, so narrowing or expanding the distance between the rimma glottidis and the rimma vestibuli.